which has become, the quote becomes iconic for its simple yet profound acknowledgement of children's universal vulnerability and the need for collective responsibility. Yet, across the globe, millions of children suffer in silence, disregarded, overlooked, and deprived of justice that they deserve. So UNICEF's profound concept of voice of the child, I'm really actually impressed by the phraseology of it. Voice of the child reminds us that justice is incomplete without listening to those it serves. The voice of the child isn't just about hearing children, but about amplifying their voices. And we need to understand that. We don't really in the courts, frankly, judges sitting here, we don't really listen to children. हमारी अदालत में बच्चा पेश होता है, माँ बाप से ही पूछ लेते हैं, अच्छा क्या करना है जी, क्या होना है, and as if this is a commodity standing on the side. ये मानते हैं ना ये बात, आप लोग एग्री करेंगे, हम उससे इंटरेक्ट नहीं करते बच्चे से. हम कोर्ट में बच्चा खड़ा हुआ है, हम माँ बाप से बात करते हैं, फैसला कर देते हैं उसकी ज़िंदगी का, उसका भी हक है कुछ कहने का. सो एक जो सबसे बड़ी चीज़ इस कन्वेंशन से निकल रही है वो ये कि लिसन टू चिल्ड्रन. प्लीज़, उनका भी कोई माइंड है, उनकी भी कोई सोच है, उनकी भी कोई फीलिंग्स हैं, उनको सुने. So पहला मैसेज ये होगा, please listen to the children in the court. That would be the first lesson for me as a judge. Next time a child appears in your court, listen to the child. Talk to the child. Have a conversation with the child. Make him participate or her participate in the proceedings, जो अभी नहीं होता, और ये हम एग्री करते हैं कि नहीं होता. And I'm sorry to the children कि नहीं होता, लेकिन होगा आज के बाद. ठीक है. So the Voice of the Child program of the UNICEF is actually designed to ensure that children are actively involved in matters that affect their lives, promoting their right to be heard and participate in the decision-making process. This, to my mind, and this to the world perhaps, is child justice that we want to talk about. So children are defined by law as who are under the age of majority in this country or in any country, usually 18 years old. Child justice refers to a specialized system of laws, policies and practices designed to address the unique needs and rights of children, ensuring their protection, rehabilitation and reintegration into the society. We need to put the children back into the society. Earlier, Madam Rabia also referred to the fact that tota chori hua to jail mein baitha. That's not it. The children have to go back into the society. We'll talk about diversion and other things. Reintegration is critical for children. I mean, आप इनको आम adults की तरह treat नहीं कर सकते. They have to go back into the society. So when we established the first child court in Lahore, the concept was कि बच्चों को अदालती जो निज़ाम है उसका उनके formative years हैं उनको disturb मत करें, उनको अदालती निज़ाम में से मत गुजारें. So हमने child court separate एक complex के बाहर साइड पे बना दिया कि child आए फारग करें, get done with his case so that he gets back to life. You see, rather than his case is tagged along with all the other cases और 15 साल 20 साल बच्चे को भी लग रहे हैं उस केस में से गुजरने के लिए. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो criminal case हो. The child could be a witness in a case, the child could be just a respondent in that case or defendant or could also be an accused. तो उसको फारग जल्दी करें. That was the concept of child courts that we tried to establish, and we plan to do that. And Justice Jamal is here, who is very actively participating in a number of reforms, that we need to take child courts in the country, all over the country. उसको बनाना मुश्किल नहीं है, सिर्फ केस मैनेजमेंट की बात है कि बच्चों के केसेस सारे उधर चले जाएं. I am sure Islamabad High Court could have a look at that also. So this system emphasizes restorative approach over punitive measures. That's the critical part. Aiming to create opportunities for children to leading fulfilling lives. As Nelson Mandela aptly said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. So हमारा टेस्ट क्या होगा, जुडिशरी का टेस्ट क्या है कि हम बच्चों को कैसे ट्रीट करते हैं. बेखल अगर हमारे मार्क्स लगने हैं, इनको तो A ग्रेड मिल गया है, हमें नहीं मिला अभी, लेकिन हमें A ग्रेड तब मिलेगा कि हमारा जस्टिस सिस्टम बच्चों के लिए क्या कर रहा है, कितने सेंसिटिव हैं हम अपने जस्टिस सिस्टम में बच्चों की तरफ, फिर शायद A और स्टार भी मिलेगा हाथ पे, वरना नहीं मिलेगा. सो ये ज़रूरी है. So like all of us here, these children have human rights, we need to understand that, which includes the right to speak out and express opinions, as well as right to equality, health, education, a clean environment, a safe place to live, and protection from all kinds of harm. This is the mandate. In fact, the approach is that the children should be more dear and more important to us than ourselves. That should be the approach of a judge, to my mind. A child walks into your court, you need to get very sensitively alert. Oh, let me just sort this out first. You can't make the child sit the whole day and not listen and forget about that. That case must automatically, that file must speak to you immediately. That this is the case I must address immediately. And with compassion and all that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So statistics, briefly, they've been mentioned earlier also. So according to UNICEF, again, there are about 2.4 billion children in the world, nearly a third of the total human population. Global challenges include, we come down to Pakistan, but global challenges are children in conflict zones. Over 450 million children live in conflict-affected areas where justice is often inaccessible. And it's very heartening and depressing, actually, to talk about genocide at Gaza, and the figures that are coming out are disturbing. I move on to child labor and exploitation, another global challenge. The juvenile justice system is another challenge because incarceration rates remain alarmingly high and rehabilitation systems are often punitive rather than restorative. This is a global dilemma. Digital vulnerabilities is a new thing. Online exploitation, cyberbullying, and trafficking are emerging threats to child safety. This is a global threat also. Coming to Pakistan, as of 2023, there are 107 million people under the age of 18 in Pakistan. Out of these, 71 million children are aged 5 to 16. And it's a unique situation that Pakistan has a young generation than any other country. I think 62% are young people in this country. So we need to be overly alert as to what we're doing, because we need to channelize this energy into something more fruitful. Our issues in Pakistan would be child health to start with. Nearly half of Pakistan's children are deficient in critical vitamins and minerals. More than 1/3 of households are food insecure, and with 18.3% of households are affected by severe food insecurity. One of the 8 adolescent girls and 1 in 5 adolescent boys is underweight. 56.6% of adolescent girls in Pakistan are anemic. So this is worrying. This is worrying. We don't see this, but when we read about this, this is certainly very disturbing. The second big area is the child education itself. An estimated of 36% or 25.3 million of these children are out of school. I mean, this is a big responsibility. How could this be possible? I mean, any adult sitting in this room, 25.3 million children in this country are out of school. We need to be doing something about it. And I don't want to quote other figures, I just move on. Children with special needs, I mean, that doesn't even show. Nobody even looks at that. I mean, according to the survey of Pakistan Bureau of Statistics taken by Nadra, there are 0.4 million, that's 0.4 million is about 371,000 people, children, with special needs in Pakistan across areas such as visually impaired, hearing and speech impairment, and others. In Pakistan, children with special needs are not integrated into the society and encounter multiple challenges, such as a lack of access to facilities, funds, and qualified educational staff to study their needs. Special children in Pakistan, you take them to regular school doesn't know what to do with them. You go out to England and the mainstream children, they say, you're welcome, please, the child should sit here. Our teachers don't understand this, our schools don't understand. Where do we take them? So please, we need to understand special children need to be cared and looked after. Pakistan doesn't have any such facility. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have the way it should be. Child marriage is another issue. According to UNICEF, approximately 21% of the girls in Pakistan are married before the age of 18. The Pakistan Demographic and Health Survey, PDHS, 2017-2018 reports that 18% of women aged 20 and 24 were married before the age of 18. And the figure goes on, it's very depressing. I just want to flag the area. And then we still have the customs of Wani and Savara going on. I mean, we at the Supreme Court, I remember as a public interest litigator took the matter of Savara to the Supreme Court long years ago. It's still continuing. Savara and Waniya, where young girls, often minors, are given in marriage to an aggrieved family as compensation to end disputes, and they're still prevalent. So shame on us, actually. Child labor, another big area. According to the Labor Force Survey, 2017 and 18, around 12.5 million children between the age of 5 and 14 are engaged in child labor. Then we have child trafficking going on. According to the Trafficking in Person Report 2024 by the US Department of State, the government of Pakistan reported identifying 30,000 trafficking victims. These included 20,000 sex trafficking victims, and then it goes on and on and on, other figures. I'm cutting short. Forced conversions, from other religions to other religions. The population of Pakistan is 96.3% Muslim, but there are other populations, there are forced conversions being made. Then we have corporal punishment, which are really, really disturbing. And corporal punishment is the punishment given in schools by teachers to students. In a study carried out in 40 schools across Hyderabad by the National Institute of Health, it was reported that out of 1,752 sixth grade students, 91% of boys and 60% of girls reported corporal punishment at the school. This is not on. Corporal punishment really is illegal. The law prohibits it, but goes on. We need to address that. Juvenile offenders. The total number of convicted under trial juvenile imprisoned in various hostel institutes and jails, Punjab was 65, and the figure goes on, but we need to look at that. We need to get them out of prisons, put them into some other, modes of restoration, that is diversion and other plans that are provided in the new 2018 Act, to which I'll come. Child abuse is another big problem our society is facing. Sahil, a local NGO, released its annual reports called The Cruel Numbers for 2023 on 29th February 24, reporting incidents of child abuse, which included cases of sexual abuse, abductions, missing children, child online abuse, and child marriages in all 4 provinces, as well as Islamabad. So this is also going on. With the increase in internet penetration in Pakistan, well, the internet is pretty slow these days, but otherwise, and an increase of 22 million internet users recently, issues such as child pornography, cyberbullying, sexting, live streaming of child sexual abuse and their exploitation have intensified. So the term sexting is another term that I just discovered, but not very happily. But these are the things that are going on. So, well, in this case, I'm kind of glad that the internet is slow. So, climate change. According to UNICEF's 2021 Landmarks Children's Climate Risk Index report, 1 billion children are at extreme high risk of the impacts of climate change and climate crisis. So that's another intersection that is worrying. So how do we go about it, you see? What should be as judges, what should be our approach? These are the crises going on, and we'll end up getting all these...
One thing you forget, suicide, majority of children use suicide.
So you're adding to my depression. There is suicide also, which I missed out happily, but I just want to add that. Suicide, thank you for that input. Child suicide is also, I don't have the figures, but as pointed out by my brother, 300 and some. So that again is so what is the approach and what does UNCRC tells us, and what does the global literature tell us? So the judges need to be looking at the following, and I think this is something I'll write down as a judge. This is my key way of doing things. So number one is the best interest of the child. Now we don't have this literature. We just talk about welfare of child when we talk about guardianship and welfare of the child, and that's the term that might have come through earlier jurisprudence to us, but the world is talking about best interest of the child. In serving the best interest of children, we serve the best interest of the humanity, is something that somebody said. In all actions where children are directly or indirectly involved or affected by the justice system, the best interest of the child should be the primary consideration. So that's the first principle. Therefore, in every action, thought must be given, thought must be given to how the action will impact on a child or groups of children to ensure their best interests are met. That's one. Number two, guaranteeing fair and equal treatment of every child free from all kinds of discrimination. We have to ensure that the child is not being discriminated. That's the second principle, which comes out very strong. More importantly, advancing the right of the child to express his or her views freely and to be heard. As I said earlier, we need to listen and engage and make the child participate in the judicial proceedings to understand what he wants to say. Children have a particular right to be heard in any administrative or judicial proceedings. either directly or through a representative or an appropriate body in a manner consistent with the procedural rules of national law, which doesn't happen. Next principle, protecting every child from abuse, exploitation and violence. This is also the responsibility of the court to create that, cover that protection around a child, which is important. We need to move on. Treating every child with dignity and compassion. Now this is what a judge must have. He must have compassion, or she must have compassion. A judge can't be a judge if he or she does not have compassion. So every child has to be treated as a unique and valuable human being, and as such, his or her individual dignity, as also pointed out by my friend Abdullah, dignity is at the heart of it. Special needs, interests, privacy should be respected and protected. So we must protect the child. I personally, I must admit that if a child comes to my court, we're not really talking about protecting the child immediately. We're just trying to decide a case. I think we need to get more sensitive about it. We have a child coming to a court. Think about the child. Are we protecting him? Are we giving him the security? Is his privacy protected? Is he being heard? I think that's the kind of focus we need to have in the court. So respecting legal guarantees and safeguards in all due processes, we need to do that. Preventing conflict with the law is a crucial element of any juvenile justice policy. These are all principles that continue coming. I'll just move on. So mainstreaming children's issues in all rule of law efforts are important. Our legal framework, we have, and I urge every judge to go through the UNCRC. It talks about some wonderful principles, and it's legally binding because Pakistan is a signatory to this document. And a number of its articles are very illuminating. I don't want to go through them. Article 3, Article 37. You can also look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I'm telling this to the judges when they're writing their judgments. These are the documents you should refer to. There's a lot of literature out there for you that helps you reach out to the children. One is the convention itself, then the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and I don't want to get into them. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR talks about it. ICESCR, that's International Covenant on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights, talks about it. And I don't want to refer to the articles. United Nations General Comment number 26 of 2023 also supports this. All these documents are relevant. You can write them in your judgment and, reach out and help the child. So I'll just, and then you have to also make sure that you have a look at.
बुलेटिन में वापस आएंगे ब्रेक के बाद।
हमारे साथ रहिएगा।
बहू इतनी चमक तेजाब से
नहीं, नया गाढ़ा हार्पिक।
कितना ही चलेगा?
पूरे 2 महीने।
जरूर महंगा होगा।
सिर्फ 200 रुपए में जमकर दाग धब्बे हटाए और दे पूरे 2 महीने तक नए जैसा चमकदार टॉयलेट। हार्पिक 200 रुपए में चमकाए ऐसा
टॉयलेट बनाए नए जैसा।
70 reasons, 1 season. Get up to 70% off at the Great Winter Sale.
अपना टेरिसी पैरिसी DHA क्वेटा, दिल तो क्वेटा है।
Natural ingredients और goat milk से बना skin white lotion.
सर्दी का वो लम्हा हल्का सा मुस्काए तेरे हाथों की नरमी।
Winter का perfect companion.
शाह में शीरी के खालिस इंग्रेडिएंट्स में है नेचुरल बेनिफिट्स जो दूध को बनाए और भी हेल्थी। अपनी 30 दिन से बंद जॉन सिम वापस लगाएं और पाएं 8 GB डेटा, 40 दूसरे नेटवर्क मिनट्स बिल्कुल मुफ्त। इसके अलावा हर रिचार्ज पर पाएं 25 दूसरे नेटवर्क मिनट्स और 1000 MB 2 दिन के लिए। अभी *2244# मिलाएं, जॉन सिम लगाएं और डिजिटल हो जाएं। The decision is simple. Let's get digital with Zong 4G.
हार्पिक 10X का गाढ़ा फॉर्मूला कमोड पे ठहर के दे तेजाब से 10 गुना बेहतर सफाई और करे जरासीम का खात्मा।
इन्नी वधिया चमक तेजाब तो चंगा।
सबने माना हार्पिक ने किया तेजाब का सफाया।
बिजली के बिल की डेट निकल गई।
हाँ पता है मुझे, इस वक्त बात नहीं कर सकते। महीने का पिक एंड ड्रॉप पॉसिबल है?
हाँ थाम के एहसास को साथ किसी के जी लिया।
कुछ अच्छा हो जाए, कुछ मीठा हो जाए।
पावर का नया दौर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग सागा बैटरी, जिसकी लॉन्ग लाइफ और लो मेंटेनेंस बाकी सबसे एक कदम आगे। Saga battery.
डल स्किन की असली वजह डिहाइड्रेशन, इसीलिए मैं यूज करती हूँ बॉन्ड स्किन इंस्टीट्यूट की सुपर लाइट जेल
हाइलुरोनिक एसिड के साथ, जो अंदर से स्किन को 200% हाइड्रेट करे ताकि मिले वाटर फ्रेश ग्लो।
मिरेकल्स हैपन।
नहीं, स्ट्रॉन्गर पेप्सी।
कमाल! क्या टेस्ट है यार?
थोड़ा कम कर दे।
कमाल!
एक्टिंग है या नई स्ट्रॉन्गर पेप्सी का कमाल, खुद ट्राई करके देखो।